Hi, everybody. I'm Logan Bishop, your guest host for this evening's edition of Higher Ed Live, the weekly web show for marketing and web professionals. Tune in to Higher Ed Live Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on higheredlive.com and join the conversation on Twitter using the Higher Ed Live hashtag. You can follow me at LOUGAN. Tonight we're coming to you live from the Music City in Nashville, Tennessee, or at least from my house in the suburbs. I'm Logan Bishop, of course. I'm the social media and web digital marketing. I forgot. See, I just had a title change. I'm the social media and digital marketing specialist for Belmont University's Office of Marketing and Special Initiatives. I've lived a full higher ed life at Belmont, starting out at admissions and eventually transitioning over to marketing. Currently, I'm responsible for the strategy and oversight of Belmont's social media and new media presences. I'm the chair of the university's social media administration team, and I'm supervisor of our brand new Boulevard team, which is our student social media street team. I'm producer of videos. I just do everything. Google Analytics, you name it. I also do web, which is crazy. Anyway, because I've lived half my life in half of my higher ed life in admissions, I'm incredibly excited to talk to Joshua Walovich from Suffolk University about some awesome accepted student-focused social media campaigns. But before I introduce Joshua, let's talk about, let's give some shout outs to our sponsors. OmniUpdate is the leading web content management system provider for higher education. The company's web CMS OU Campus is secure and scalable with great tools and features, deployment flexibility, and an awesome user community. Watch OmniUpdate's OU Campus Overview video to learn more about their award-winning CMS. Higher Ed Live is also sponsored by Uversity, formerly Integral, the creators of the Schools app, a private Facebook community to boost enrollment and retention. Check out their blog, Uversity Roundtable, for posts on admissions marketing, student engagement, and social media in higher education. We're tweeting the link to the blog right now. This month, InStoner, a marketing communications company focused on higher education web strategy and development since 2001, is presenting an advanced web analytics webinar. This professional development opportunity is perfect for marketing and communications managers and directors who want to learn how analytics can inform their online strategies, and for senior communications professionals, directors, and vice presidents who want to strengthen their understanding of Google Analytics. We're tweeting the link out now where you can learn more and register. So let's get started. With us tonight is Josh Walovich, the Director of Digital and Social Media at Suffolk University. In addition to working at Suffolk, Josh consults a handful of local startups, everything from nonprofits to product plus service based companies. He focuses on early stage biz dev and content marketing strategy and digital ad placement. Before coming to Suffolk, he worked at AirIcon, a digital solutions agency. At the same time, he also led development of the digital arm of Boston-based marketing marketing agency, whose client base needs were shifting from traditional marketing practices to inbound marketing initiatives. Josh also worked in journalism. He's been a busy guy. Most notably, an experimental features, arts, entertainment writer for the Boston Herald. So here's Josh.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing great. So do you have anything in addition you want to say about yourself?
No, that's all. You know, I'm at Suffolk University now, and we're doing a lot of interesting things, so I'm excited to talk about it with you guys today.
Well, awesome. Well, Suffolk has definitely had some awesome social media campaigns, and two of them have really gotten a lot of attention, Neon Tank and Flat Rammy. A friend of mine was telling me about them once, and when I first heard about Flat Rammy, I was like, what did you say? Flat Granny? Anyway, why don't you tell us a little bit about these campaigns? Who came up with these ideas? Was it your office or
Sure.
admission?
Sure. So, you know, I work within the Office of Marketing and Communications at Suffolk, and we do a combination of service-based work. So, you know, a client of ours will, like admissions, they'll come to us and they'll ask for some sort of project, but it also works the other way around. We will identify an opportunity to execute a campaign, and we'll approach admissions or the law school or whatever it is and pitch them an idea and see if they take to it. So in OMC, there are millions of ideas that fly around, and lots of them make it onto this list, and this list just grows and grows and grows, and we try to trim it down, and often ideas on that list just end up staying on that list. But the flat Rammy idea was something that made it to that list as just a blanket idea. Like, we should do a take on Flat Stanley, which is a very popular, I think it was a book, a children's book a couple decades ago that took off, and I guess people were taking their pictures of Flat Stanley to different monuments and vacation spots and taking pictures and sending it to their friends. And so we were like, we should do a flat Rammy version of Flat Stanley. The reason Flat Rammy is because our mascot is a ram, so it lent nicely in sort of that rhyming scheme. So that's how it started. It was an idea on a list, and that was in January of this year. And that idea basically was tossed around many times, but nothing happened to it for a while. So I don't know. So should I tell you a little bit about how that idea was resurrected?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So it was an idea that I felt really strongly about, yet I didn't know exactly what it would look like. I'm tweeting out in a bit an early pitch deck for my sort of idea of what flat Rammy would look like. And so we knew we wanted to send freshmen a flat Rammy that had a photo challenge on the back, and we knew we wanted them to be able to see where the students were sending the flat Rammys from geographically. But we didn't know what tools we had to actually execute it, which social network we should use, these sorts of things. It wasn't really hashed out. And I think that was part of the problem of pitching the idea. I have a picture here of my first attempt to try and create a flat Rammy so I could show people the idea and hopefully give them a better sense of what it looks like. So I don't know if we can pull up that picture of the really bad looking flat Rammy. Just give me a second. Is it popping out? Okay, so I will. 1 second, sorry. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen here, and this was the old pitch deck. I had this idea that enough of sending people one-dimensional pieces of collateral, right? Like enough of sending them bottle openers or whatever the case is, just stuff that just dies and falls in your desk drawers. And so I think this is Flat Stanley, right? This was the Flat Stanley, and literally what I did was on the back of a Flat Stanley, I wrote up different photo challenge ideas. So there was no RAM, there was no infrastructure on how this would be deployed. It was simply just like, let's take Flat Rammy Stanley, try and make him look like a ram and put a photo challenge on the back, and that was that. And it wasn't until one of our designers, Charles Lockwood, a very talented digital designer and graphic designer, that we were actually able to convert the Stanley into a Rammy. I don't know if you can see that there. You see the Rammy? So, wait, could you see my screen?
I could, yeah.
Okay, you can. Okay, can you still see it?
No.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Okay.
I'm new to this whole Google Hangout. There. Okay, so I'm jumping around all over the place here, but the reason we came up with this idea, or what it ended up morphing into, was because to take care of the problem of summer melt. So a lot of kids will put in their deposits for a bunch of different schools, and then we aren't really sure who's going to show up come September.
Yeah, that's actually becoming a really big thing in a lot of schools these days, because kids are, they're applying to 10, 15 schools at a time, so you can never tell where they're going to go.
Right, they're applying to 10, 15 different schools. They're waiting to hear back which financial aid packet they're getting, and I guess apparently they're making last-minute decisions. That's why come September, admissions never really knows how many people are actually going to show up. So that's a huge problem, because if you get that person to show up on day one, now you have someone who presumably is going to be there for the next 4 years, and that's huge, especially from revenue standpoint, it's important that the people matriculate from giving your deposit and actually showing up for 4 years. So we thought this would be an opportunity to help build community and brand affinity before they even came on campus. And so I guess I'll take a step back and I'll talk about the reason why no one gave Flat Rammy a chance at first, internally within Suffolk as an organization. And it wasn't because they didn't like the idea, but I think it was because they had no idea what Flat Rammy was, right? Because here I was, I'm scribbling on a piece of paper, what it could be, right? But when it isn't done out to a certain level, it's hard to visualize it, and it's easy to be like, okay, nice idea, but I have no idea what you're talking about. So I heard an interview with the guys from the Lonely Island, like the joke comedy musical group. They're on SNL. They do all those. I don't know if I can say the names of their songs on air, but I think most people know who they are. And it was on NPR, I think, with Terry Gross, and they were talking to it's Andy Samberg and Kiva something, and it's three guys, and one of them, Andy, was the face of the group, and the two guys behind the scene were the writers. And when they first started working for SNL, they would pitch all these really crazy ideas for music shorts and these videos. And apparently the internal team at SNL was like, haha, that sounds like very funny, but like I really have no idea what you're talking about. So I think what they used to do was then on their own time, they would try and produce these kind of like not fully production level quality videos to at least show the rest of the team so they can get an idea. So I think that's kind of the reason why some ideas succeed over others is for the ability to convey to your team or the people who may be funding this sort of project what exactly it is that you're trying, what it will actually look like. So fortunately, I came up with that. I had the idea and I had it done really poorly and I presented it, right? Because I wasn't an illustrator. And after some time, a couple of months down the road, we hired a really, really talented illustrator named Charles Lockwood, and he's also an interactive designer. And for fun, it wasn't an approved idea, but we decided to start working on it and collaborating on it. And that's how we were able to actually, or he was able to actually illustrate the Rammy and make it a little bit more real. And sure, you had a question?
Yeah, why don't you explain kind of how it worked? How did you get the flat Rammys to the students and all that kind of fun stuff?
Sure. So it was about that time I was like, how are we going to be able to allow students to upload photos? Where are they going to upload them? And how is it going to geotag them on a map itself so that they can get to know each other geographically? And then also, so basically what Flat Rammy is, I guess I should have started off with that, right? So what Flat Rammy is, it's something we sent to all 1,100, 1,200 students who had, I guess, committed to Suffolk University. And we sent to them in a packet like this. This is it's supposed to be like a fake packing crate. And on the inside was, our mascot Ram. On the back side was a photo challenge on Instagram. And essentially, some of the photo challenges were posing in front of a landmark in your hometown, cheering on your favorite sports team, standing in front of epic scenery, enjoying your favorite summer activity, chilling with another animal, all different prompts that allowed the students to tell a little bit about themselves while also sharing it with their other students and being able to cross-pollinate those sorts of things. And there were also contests, there were also prizes that were involved in it to incentivize the students to actually take place in it. So that's essentially that's what it was. There was a homepage, flatrammy.com. It's still live. You can go to it right now, and that's where they were able to look at the map that geotagged all the different photos, and also a tag board, which is a stream of every photo that was posted in real time.
Yeah, I just tweeted out the URL for that, so check it out.
Check it out. I will say because the map pulls only photos from a certain time period, and since it's been a couple months since the campaign has been employed, you aren't going to see the map totally buffed out. If you had looked at it a couple months ago, you would have seen dozens and dozens of photos. But if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you can see the entire tag board with hundreds of photos and incoming freshmen taking pictures with their Flat Rammy.
So since this is a kind of a both a an admissions uh, and a marketing kind of branding kind of thing, um, what kind of goals did you have set? How did you measure the success of it?
Sure. So it's not anything we've ever done before. So whenever there's something like that, we like to set goals, but know that because it's unprecedented, at least for us doing it, we aren't really sure what the reaction will be to it. I mean, we have an idea from talking to people and that sort of thing, but one of the things we looked at in terms of um, measurement, which were, how many people visit the website, how many people took pictures with their photo, um, how many social interactions came out of a result of people uploading their photos and people liking those sorts of things. So one of the big problems it solved for us, or one of the great things that it did is our prospective students are juniors and seniors in high school, and it's really hard to reach those people, especially in a credible and like interesting way, as opposed to sending them a direct mail or an email or have their guidance counselor tell them to check out Suffolk University. Those are all important things that should be done, but how do you engage them in a really interesting way? And if we can give their friends who are a year older, who are going into college, an opportunity to talk about their school in a fun and exciting way without us even saying anything, then that's the way we could, then this was a way we could do it. Because what you saw was they posted all their photos to Instagram, and who were the people who were liking their photos? Surely it was their contemporaries, the students their age, but they also had friends who were still in high school who were liking their photos and being acquainted with Suffolk. So if they didn't know about Suffolk, now they have a reason to look into it because they're seeing their friends have a fun time with their school mascot. And if they do know about Suffolk, now it gives them an opportunity to give them a second look because they're doing something that is truly unique and fun. So I mean, our goals were pretty soft in terms of build that campus unity before they get to campus, and then also reach the juniors and seniors in high school through those incoming freshmen.
Cool. Do you have any outcomes that you can tell us about? Some stats or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So, 1 second. So we sent out 1,100, 1,200 of them to our incoming freshman class. Now, unfortunately, we did low priority nonprofit mail, and I think as a result, not everybody who was supposed to receive one actually ended up receiving one. And that's something, when you do something for a first time, you don't always know these things, and now next year when we do it again, that's not how we're going to go about it. And also, I think it's a fair assumption that not every address we had may have been an accurate address. So we sent out 1,100, 1,200 of them.
And these were admitted students, right? Or were these students that had already paid their enrollment deposit?
Good question. So, I think these were admitted students.
Okay.
No, sorry. No, these people are expressed intent in coming in September. But still, there is. So I mean, so summer melt. I think maybe I was referring to, or we were talking about.
Summer melt's when they pay their enrollment deposit and they choose another school.
Sure.
Is that so? Yeah, they're probably yeah.
Yeah. So it was people who had put money down, right?
Yep.
And so we had over 90 people participate. So that's around 13 to 14% of the incoming freshman class.
That's not bad.
So and factoring in that a lot of the people, especially the people overseas, didn't receive them, and bad mailing, it was pretty good. Not to mention that the average person out of those 90 took there was 8.3 photos and or conversations that they either tweeted out, posted on Facebook, or took on Instagram. So we had over 740 unique photos with Flat Rammy and or super enthusiastic conversations about that. So our total exposure in terms of media impressions and people talking about Flat Rammy, we had over 1 million social impressions with people being exposed to the concept of Flat Rammy or a picture of Flat Rammy, that sort of thing. So it did have a huge reach.
That is not bad for 749. So hold on 1 second. So when the students do the students still post things with Flat Rammy, or are they still doing things?
So no, so one of the things that we kind of failed to do was keep the momentum going of Flat Rammy into the semester and maybe transition it into a photo scavenger hunt that takes place in Boston and around Boston. You know, it's something that we're exploring for the next semester. But that was kind of the thing that kind of caught us off guard at the closing time of the summer was how do we keep this momentum going and take that virtual community that is existing online and the students interacting before they come to school and make that continue on campus. And so next year we have some ideas for that, but the campaign was not going. It was mainly June, July, and August.
Oh,
And
cool.
just so people out there can take a look, I'll pop up the screen share of. Can you guys see that?
Give it a second.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to show you a couple of the photos, I mean, people were super involved. I mean, this person over here, someone broke their leg of the Flat Rammy, and so they built this fake little cast and put it up there. And we had people who went hiking with them and took them to the summit of the mountains. There was a lot of dress up. So let's see if I can find a good dress up picture. There was someone who dressed them up as a chef, as a doctor, as someone. Hold on a second. Here's a SpongeBob one, undersea. You guys see that? There was Michael Jackson one. It was fun because the prompts led to different fun pictures. One of them was snuggling with like an animal. So a lot of people were uploading funny pictures with Flat Rammy and and their dog or their cat.
That's kind of awesome.
Here's an example right here where two Flat Rammy people got together and met outside of the virtual community that was being built ended up materializing in the physical space. So people took them to South Korea, to Italy. I have a cute little video of someone documenting the. Sorry, 1 second. Where is it? Sorry. They were. If I can.
The dog with the sunglasses. Whenever you have a picture with a dog or a stuffed animal or something, eyewear, it totally does that. If
Right.
Those of you at Higher Ed Web would probably get that joke, but it's eyewear makes the picture. It totally does.
We had people taking vines, unboxing their Flat Rammys, and something that we realized afterwards was the first thing on the photo challenge list should have been take a picture and/or Insta video of you unboxing your Flat Rammy, because it really sets the precedent. There were some people who were like, they took dozens of pictures with Flat Rammy. They were super ecstatic about it. There was other people who took a picture, right when they got them, and then it kind of teetered off, right? You have a whole summer and you lose it or you leave it in your room. But I think by getting them to jumpstart them at the beginning, just by something simple, by taking a picture unboxing of your Flat Rammy, is like a good way to kick things off.
So let's kind of shift gears a little bit, and we'll come back to Flat Rammy a little bit later. But I want to talk a little bit about Neon Tank.
Sure.
So Neon Tank is another interesting social media thing that you guys have done. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it and when you did it and kind of why you did it?
Sure. So before students came on campus, we knew that this was a generation, the class of 2017, that is super active on the social channels, right? They aren't as active on other sort of, on email. These people are getting inundated with all sorts of email messages and all sorts of stuff, and but they'll respond to a tweet right away, right? They'll respond to an Instagram comment right away. That's where they like to hang out. So if we as a university want to communicate effectively with them, then we should choose the channels that they enjoy being on themselves. So one of the missions that we wanted to take on was to try and onboard the incoming class of 2017 to all of our social networks. And the only real way to do that, I mean, you could ask politely, right? But
right.
They have other things going on. They'd rather do something else than listen to what we have to say at the moment. So you have to incentivize people. And one of the things that we did to incentivize them was to create these really cool, hideous, and awesome tank tops that were pretty self-aware and aligned with what our mission was to get them to follow us on our social networks. I don't know, can you pop a picture of the neon tanks for us? Okay, so I guess you guys can see those tanks, and
they
you know,
are bright.
And they are super bright and obnoxious, and I knew that they would sell. I mean, I knew that they would go over well because I found a local company who sells these kind of, funny Boston-related slogan tank tops that sell like crazy to the target of high schoolers. So I found out who their distributor was, and I knew that it fit well on students and they liked it, and we went with that distributor and those colors. And so our goal was to or our plan was to show up at the orientation sessions where we knew every single freshman who was going to be on campus was going to be there. And that's those sort of events where you're in a gymnasium and there's 50 million tables set up for every single organization and club on campus. And so we set one up, and we had a couple computers, and I had a couple street team members with me. And we said, if you want a tank top, you have to follow us on one of the 4 social networks, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And we only bought 500 T-shirts because they were expensive, and it was an experiment, and shelling out a ton of money for something where people aren't really sure how it's going to go over, in a lot of industries isn't something that people do. Although I think taking calculated risks that aren't going to totally put you in the red, you learn a lot from those sorts of things. So I'm glad we were able to get some budget for it. And
yeah, we all know budget fun times.
Right. But the thing was, students, they wanted the T-shirt so bad that they didn't just want one color of it; they wanted all colors. We couldn't give kids more than one T-shirt. But surprisingly, when they went to follow us on social networks, they were interested in following us on all the social networks, except for LinkedIn. They weren't so interested, but they were like, oh, okay, I'll do Instagram. But what's your Twitter handle also? Or where can I find you on Facebook? These sorts of things. And we were able to convert. We had 500 T-shirts, and we converted. Let's see, I have the.
How many orientation sessions do you have?
So there was 4 orientation sessions, and there was a couple hundred students at each session. And by the end of the third session, we had given away all our T-shirts and onboarded over 470 incoming freshmen onto our social networks. So,
nice.
So a very high conversion rate for that sort of thing. And yeah, so that was essentially the campaign, which we plan to do again in some form for the next orientation sessions next year.
So how did they show you that they actually liked your one of your networks? What if they liked all of your networks at the time? Did they just
right? So no, I mean, they aren't dishonest people. So there were people like, I already follow you on whatever, on all the channels, and I'd be like, do you really? And they'd be like, of course you do. And you of course you believe them. So if they did, then we gave them a shirt, right? Because they're enthusiastic and we want them to be part of our growing social online community. And for other people, we built a landing page that basically had 4 icons that were hyperlinked to the onboarding login spots for each network. So we had these fun posters that were up that had it was like an infographic step-by-step how to get a free tank top. One was like, take your phone out of your pocket, take your finger, it was a cute little poster. I can tweet out a picture to that later. And then they would just show us. They would flip us their phone and show us, and we say, great, here's the tank top. What color and size do you want?
Nice. Okay, so we talked about outcomes and such, so that's cool. So let's kind of bring it all together really quick. Well,
before that, actually,
yeah, go ahead.
So at the time of doing neon tanks, we knew we were going to go with Flat Rammy.
Right.
And so what we did is we thought it'd be a great opportunity to build some buzz and anticipation for Flat Rammy. And so we had these postcards. I think we have a picture of the front and back of them. Can we pull those up? So let me know when you see those.
It's up.
Okay, so we had these postcards, and the call to action driver was for them to go check out flatrammy.com. And we didn't put any information on what exactly it was. We just wanted it to be something that they looked at, gave some thought, and if they saw again, would recognize that that's something that existed. And we were actually able to drive 318 unique page views from that orientation session to our microsite of flatrammy.com. And if you go to flatrammy.com right now, I'll do a screen share of it. I'm gonna show you. So if you go to flatrammy.com, you're gonna see this. Can you guys see it on my screen share?
Yep, it's up.
Okay. So there's this. You see the crate. So when you went there before the campaign went live, the crate was closed, and when you'd hover over it, it would shake, and it would say different things like "Let me out," or it was obvious that there was something in there, and there was nothing. There was no other elements to this site, so it was kind of just like a placeholder saying like something fun is happening for you freshmen where you can meet and collaborate. And so because we had built that buzz and drew them to the website, we were able to raise awareness for before and build some like anticipation for it.
Awesome. Well, why don't you, while you have it up, why don't you scroll down to the prizes? I don't think we talked specifically about how awesome these prizes are, but 2 tickets to a Red Sox and Yankees game with dinner for 2 at a really nice restaurant. That's crazy. And then duck tours. I mean, that's fun. The Museum of Science, that's fun too. Did you end up giving away all of these awesome prizes?
Yeah, so we're still in the process of it. Hunting down students is harder than you think. But I mean, sorry, I wanted to take off the screen. So one thing that any company, brand, or whatever wants more than anything is for their customers, or whatever the case is for us, our students, to talk about how great the product is, the university, right? And that's user-generated content, and that's usually some of the hardest content to get, and you need to incentivize people. And so that's what we did. We incentivized them through really awesome, cool prizes. The thing about these prizes were they were Boston experiential things, and that's a big thing about Suffolk. We're in the heart of Boston. To experience Boston is in essence also in some way to experience Suffolk University. So what better prize for a student than to give them an amazing day out in the Boston atmosphere to get to know Suffolk. Not only that, what are they going to be doing the entire time they're partaking in these Boston activities, right? Maybe they'll bring around Flat Rammy and take pictures, right? They're going to be further talking about how excited they are to be in Boston, to be a part of Suffolk, and that sort of thing. So for us, it was kind of a no-brainer to incentivize them in a compelling way.
So we have these awesome prizes. We have 1,200 flat Rammys with that have to be mailed out. You have 500 neon tanks. Who's bearing the financial burden for this? Obviously, admissions is getting a lot out of it, and marketing is getting a lot out of it. How did that work? Because it always comes down to money.
Sure, absolutely. So it wasn't too expensive, to be honest. If you think of like an admissions budget in general, I mean, they aren't the smallest things, right?
No, they're not. They're usually the highest budget at the university for marketing.
Absolutely. What does it cost to run an MBTA ad, right? You listen to WBR nowadays, and you hear every single school in the Northeast, telling you to go to their university. Those are expensive ads themselves. I think one of the most dangerous things you can do in terms of outreach is not diversifying the way in which you're trying to get the word out. And something like this is shoestring budget compared to what other universities put into other types of marketing efforts. So for me, it's building up enough cases to have admissions or other stakeholders feel confident in a new idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have to feel confident in a new media space. I think most people, I'm not talking about Suffolk, but just in higher ed in general, are realizing that social media is where the chatter happens for our incoming classes, and it will be more so for the next incoming class and the class after that. I think the question for a lot of those people are, well, how does a campaign like that manifest? And so a lot of what I did or our team worked on before was building smaller case studies and success stories in the social realm. You get a little bit of money, you build a case, you show it's successful, and the budget eventually grows. I mean, so I think that's kind of the way it worked.
That's kind of awesome. So what did admissions, and this is kind of a follow that, what did admissions think about this? I mean, what did they, now that it's over, how excited are they about doing it again?
So we're still in the process of kind of debriefing and recapping and stuff like that. What did they think about it, when we brought it up? Well, uh, like I said, this was a very hard idea for people to kind of wrap their head around because they didn't know what it would look like until, our designer came on board and he mocked up the site and we figured out, we could work with a company called Snap Widget and Tagboard to actually make it happen, right? After that, it's just building trust and relationships with those individuals, and if you can say to them, I'm confident this idea is going to do something interesting for us, and it's going to be novel and set us apart, then they'll pretty much you know they'll pretty much trust you, right? It's about building rapport and relationships. So
Do you feel like you changed some minds?
I think that's something that has to happen every day, especially when you're working in the social realm. There's so much skepticism and uncertainty, and we hope this works, but it may not. But I think that's with any piece of marketing, you hope it works, but it may not. If anything, social and digital is you're held more accountable because there's metrics, there's analytics, exactly what's happening. So if you're upfront, you're saying, listen, give me a shot. I can tell you what it actually did and what it didn't do, and you have a level of hard of setting expectations. I think it kind of works out. So
Yeah, I work with admissions a lot myself, and there's always that heart attack moment that you have that just right before it actually kicks off as to, are they going to post? Are they going to post? Are they actually going to do it? Are they really going to do it? And then they do it, and you're like, yeah!
Absolutely.
It's the greatest feeling in the world.
For us, we did nonprofit shipping, so it was like weeks, and we're like, looks like total failure, nothing happened. And then very, very slowly we saw someone post in Massachusetts, and with the map you could go down to where they live, in their block, and it was like they were in Milford or something like that, and it was very
creepy. But
no, absolutely. But you see from that photo I showed earlier that it's good for the students because then they end up meeting in person. It actually facilitated real life community building before they even step on campus, which is a really amazing thing.
And that's something that I've noticed with even our accepted students hashtag. They are actually like meeting each other over Twitter. They're following the hashtag to see who's joining. And this is before we create our Facebook group. We wait till we reach about 1,000 admins before we create our Facebook group so that we have, critical mass of kids that will actually talk to each other. But before we even do that, even the kids that are the most excited, they are all over Twitter just finding each other and
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, getting into college, you're 16, 17 years old is one of the highlights of your life at that point. It's something you want to tell everybody about and talk about. And I think
we all forget that sometimes.
Right, absolutely. But so the thing is they're gonna talk about it anyways. They're gonna talk about their excitement, right? So, but where does the university come in? If we can provide platforms to facilitate or at least host those conversations, now we're building a closer connection with them, and they're going to feel closer to us as a university, and they'll probably talk about us in a more accurate framework than if it's not facilitated through us. So I think just Flat Rammy or any other campaign we did or are trying to do are just literally prompts for the students to then choose to use or not use. And through those prompts, they'll communicate, collaborate, meet in person, create their own things. But it's about finding just like the right creative, fun prompt for them to sort of go at it and tweet and talk and text and these sorts of things.
So I'm going to toss out another little follow-up there. So was Flat Rammy and Neon Tank, they're obviously different campaigns, but they kind of fit into a larger campaign of Summer Melt. Are there any other kinds of things that you were doing through social media or through web or through at least your office to kind of work on that Summer Melt kind of issue?
On the Summer Melt issue itself?
Well, yeah. I mean, are there any other campaigns that you're doing other than Flat Rammy and Neon Tank? Or?
I mean, we have a handful of campaigns going on at any point in time. Anyone who's watching out there, if you're interested in anything I say or I didn't say, feel free to reach out to me. one of the campaigns we did the first day of class was I saw a friend of mine, I think that was Charles, who I work with, sent me an email about this event that was happening where everybody at 11 a.m. on August 31st is going to tweet a picture of where they're at. So I said, okay, great idea. You know, there's a lot of great ideas that exist out there in parallel marketplaces that are just as valid in the higher ed industry. So what we did is we wanted to do the same exact thing at 11 a.m. on, I think it was like September 4th, the first day of classes. We notified everybody from current students to prospective students to alumni to tweet out or Instagram or post pictures on Facebook of where they are at that moment, right? Just kind of we call it the global digital roll call for the Suffolk family. And so a ton of alum and students tweeted out their picture all over the world. We had over 100 people participate. And what was really interesting about that was there were some people, alumni, who weren't in our system that are off the map that tweeted. So now we had an opportunity to gather their information and figure out who they were and interact with them. And we followed up by sending our admissions, our alumni engagement group, Emma O'Leary. She really jumped on it, and she sent out like T-shirts and nice like handwritten letters to all the people that we didn't know that participated. And some of them even sent hand letters back saying like, thanks so much for just interacting with us, really. So that was another fun campaign that we had. So I'll tweet out a link to some information about that if people are interested as well.
That's kind of amazing. So what you did was you tweeted out you just said, hey, and this was really for just students that were there, and you got alums, you probably got
it was literally I created a Facebook. My friend showed it to me. 10 minutes later, I created a Facebook group. Right, I invited some people. I invited the way those groups work is you can't invite people. I can post about it and people can sign up and then invite their friends. So it grows organically through like natural channels, and then that was it. But the funny thing is, then we tried to do it again for homecoming. We held our first homecoming ever a little bit ago, and this was probably like a month or a month and a half after we did the first one. And total utter failure. Didn't work. No one tweeted their picture. I mean, we know why that was. There was so much information being pushed out about homecoming and so many different events that people were just inundated with all sorts of messages and information. It wasn't a good time to do it. It was too soon after we'd already done it. But it just goes to show some of these ideas are hit or miss based on the timing, based on a whole multitude of factors. But yeah. Social media giveth, and social media giveth nothing at all. Absolutely, no, and that's the thing, the trial and error. That's one of the funnest parts about it, and I think that's the root of a lot of the skepticism in terms of the people who are, big decision makers in higher ed, because they have the mentality for that, like, even if it does work, sometimes it's a total bust as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. But who said people are who says that brand awareness is really happening with that WBUR ad, or people are actually converting to your website to so WBUR. I mean, I listen to stuff on W. No, absolutely no. By no means am I knocking like buying ads on WBUR. I actually think it's a idea. I was not a good analogy, but no. I think I mean we use our local public radio station too. I mean I think that's something we all do, because that's where the students are, or the people that listen to music that would come to our concerts, that kind of stuff. Sure. I guess I'm saying, like, diversifying the ways in which people which admissions or schools are reaching out is really important. And it's very important. It's a no-brainer that a lot of interaction and engagement, happens socially. So to do one and not to the other, but to do both it's a balance, So. Well, yeah, you have to have it. You have to have an integrated marketing strategy, because social media is not going to give you everything you need. And anyone who tells you that probably is not the social media expert. Yeah, is lying, or they call themselves a guru or something. No, yeah. But the truth is, any of our campaigns, we strive to make it physical as well. Like, we didn't want to just like send them an email saying, tweet out pictures with a cutout. Here's a PDF. Why don't you print it out? Right. It was an experiential thing. We even stuffed our envelopes with fake hay. See, that's awesome. Yeah. So and next year I hope we can think of even more crazy, exciting things where they open it up and they touch it and they feel it and they're like, wow, this is like really unique. That's the same reason why I heard Apple, they make their boxes when you open them for their iPhones slide out very slowly, because it's like a big reveal, and that experiential moment adds to the your memory about what is happening, and that's what we try and do with things that maybe part of it exists socially, but we try and make that other part happen in the actual physical collateral realm. So.
Right. So I'm gonna. We went off on a fun tangent, which is awesome. But I have kind of just one more kind of question here.
Sure.
You guys built the Flat Rammy website, obviously.
Yes.
And you're using Tagboard now. Yes. Did you have to moderate it?
So
how much not so awesome things did you run into?
Firstly, I should say Tagboard is free for I think universities and nonprofits.
It is,
and they work with these very
tweet them, and they will jump on it and help you out.
They will jump on. They are super amazing at like walking you through the process and these sort of things. But so there's a feature tab where you vet every piece of content that's shown in the feature section. The interesting thing about social media is a lot of people think that if someone tweets something bad about your brand, that someone's going to see it. And imagine if someone did something awful with Flat Rammy and tweeted about it. Well, the truth is the only people who see that are their friends. It's not being echoed through our social channels or on our webpage. So we did moderate, but there was most pictures where everything was pretty innocuous. There was one person who took a funny selfie with his shirt off. We didn't let that one go through. And there was a very clever kid who did a series of vines where Rammy is sort of this party animal, out of control person that he's trying to discipline, and those were things that we didn't echo through our social channels, but it gave, but it was interesting to see, what he did with it. Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts or anything like that?
I don't know. I think it was a big experiment, Flat Rammy, and I think we learned a ton from trying to execute it, from trying to take an idea, not really sure technically how we were going to put it together and make that happen, and then watching students take pictures of themselves in really creative ways and dressing up their Rammy and being all over the world is one of the most exciting things you can watch happen as a marketer, to watch your team build something and watch people play with it. I will say I was by no means the only person involved in this project. There was a ton of help from a lot of different people at Suffolk University. So I just give a couple of shout outs. I did mention Charles Lockwood, who is our brilliant illustrator and digital designer. Ashley Benner helped in so many aspects of the process. Jen Becker was our writer. There was a ton of copy involved in this, and she did an amazing job writing a lot of different copy. I had a ton of support from George Camo and Georgie Cohen, and Michael Clark, our photographer, a million other people in our department. It was an absolute group effort, and next year we're really excited to make some fun altercations to it and get even more people to take pictures with Flat Rammy. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. It was great talking to you.
Yes, thank you.
And for all of you out there, Higher Ed Live will not air next Thursday, as all of us will be out trick-or-treating. I won't, but it would be fun if I did. Anyway, tune in on Thursday, November 7th for Drew Milliken's All-Star Social Media Roundtable. I'm Logan. It was great hanging out with all of you guys, and I guess we'll see you later.